Hello, in this series of video tutorials, you're going to be introduced to the BU Alumni Medical Library. This is not going to be your only introduction to the library or only chance to use library resources or even have library tutorials. Depending on the program you're in and the courses you're taking, you'll have other opportunities to come and use the library. Some professors, such as Jen Beard in Global Health, have the librarians come to her class to conduct individual one-on-one sessions with the students. You always have the opportunity in the practice office. There's an offering every semester, a how-to workshop on how to use library resources to do searches. So again, depending on the courses you take, you'll probably have interaction with us in person as librarians, but these tutorials function as an introduction to the library and our services. So the first tutorial, I'm going to talk about the actual physical library itself and sort of traditional library resources you've used before. Then I'll talk about some of the things we do a bit more uniquely at BU, and then I'll start to show you actual searches of databases. So the first thing I want to talk about, where is the library actually located? We're actually on the medical school campus, so we're in the medical education building. That's that 14-story building across the quad from Talbot. We're on the 12th and 13th floors. The elevators only stop on 12, so if you need to get to 13, that's a quiet study area for the most part. There are also some bound journals and textbooks up there. You can just take one of the internal staircases up to 13. If you have any kind of mobility issues or develop mobility issues while you're at BU, you can certainly ask any library employee. We can make the elevator go up to 13 for you, and we could call it on 13 if you're up there to bring it back down to 12 or bring you back down to the lobby. So plenty of students do use the library in person. It's a great place to study. You can use any of our computers. You can use any of the resources we have. But for the most part, in 2015, students tend to use the library remotely. So we do have a website, which is where I'm starting from here, medlib.bu.edu. We like to point people to the website because all the resources we have are linked from here. So all of the ebooks we have, all of the e-journals, all the databases you can use from this website. All you need to use to access this website is you have to be able to get here from your tablet, phone, computer, whatever the case may be. Especially if you're public health students, it's nice. This works any place in the world. So if you can get to medlib.bu.edu from your browser on any possible device, you're all set. Once you're here, you just have to log in with your BU username and password, the same one you use for your email, and you can use any of the resources that we have. And I'll get into a little bit more in a minute, but I want to start, like I said, with traditional resources first. So I'm sure at this point in your life you've used a library before. You've certainly used a college library or an academic library before, so I'm not going to kind of belabor the most obvious things. I'm just going to go over these sorts of resources we have at BU as quickly as I can. So you may at times want to use a print book or an electronic textbook, which is perfectly fine. If you want to search the BU catalog, I can click here where it says Library Catalogs. I can also click here on BU Library Search. They're both going to take me to the same place. So it's going to click here on Library Catalogs in this first option, the BU Library Search. So this will actually search all BU libraries at once. As I said a second ago, I do have to log in once with my Kerberos to get into the catalog. And I can't type or spell, so just bear with me here for a second. Usually doesn't work the first time I try it. Didn't work this as often the case. So the nice thing is you really only have to log in once to any resource, and then as long as you keep your browser open and your cookies are installed properly, you can just jump from resource to resource. So I'm not going to log in again for anything. I'm just going to jump from place to place, and it's going to allow me to do that because I logged in once, which is great. Okay, so this, you can see it says BU Library Search. This is all the BU libraries that you listed here. So this is us, the Alumni Medical Library, but also the Astronomy Library, the main campus Mugar Library, the Law Library. So just depending on the type of research question that you have, you can actually search all of BU's holdings at once and then just use the things that are most relevant to your search. But it's kind of a ridiculous sort of public health example here. I'm just going to type in the title Mountains Beyond Mountains to see if we have a copy of that book. I'm sure you've all read it. It's pretty much the reason why most people go to public health in the first place. If you haven't read it, it's actually a great book about Dr. Paul Farmer. Okay, so I type in that title. So you can see here that the BU catalog tells me it found 8,000 references for that particular title. So the interesting thing about the BU catalog, it not only searches for books, it actually searches for every type of resource. So you can see for Mountains Beyond Mountains here, really of these 8,800 hits, almost 6,400 are actually articles either about the book itself or with those words in the title. So for example, this book here, Beyond the Mountains of the Damned, not the same book. It's just a book that has, mountains in the title. Same with this one here, Beyond the Mountains. So it's not the most precise search in the world, but the things we're actually looking for, so the book or information about the book itself, certainly came back in the top 3. And the book, like I said, so Tracy Kidder, the book about Paul Farmer is the very first hit, which is nice. But if I want to limit this just to ebooks or print books, because obviously I want to read this as a book, you can see that on the left-hand side of the screen here, I have these bunch of different options. So this is something that in database design is called clustering. So the BU catalog is trying to pull out information about what it found automatically. So it's telling me of those 8,800 things, 6,400 are articles, 7 are audio-visual tools, 1,600 are articles, 99 are conference proceedings, and so on. So I just want the book itself. I'm just going to click here on books and ebooks. So now it tells me that there's only, again, 1,672 of these things that are actually books. So we have 1,500 of these available online, 106 available in the library. Something else you can do if you like that, again, if you're on the medical campus or if even at Crosstown, that you're obviously not too far from the physical library. If you just want to limit to things that we have ourselves in our collection at the Alumni Medical Library, I can click on this option here, and I can say, just show me the things in the medical library. So now it's just one thing, that actual book of Mountains Beyond Mountains itself, which is nice. If I want to use that book, if I want to check it out, or if I want to see if we have it electronically, where it says here, view 2 versions, I can click here. So now the catalog is going to show me that, okay, so we do have this in print. Actually, weird enough it says MuGar, but I think we have a copy in our library as well. So this will tell you exactly where that resource is. And again, I think we have it. I just don't know why it's not showing it, to be honest with you. And it actually gives you the actual shelf number. So you could go to that shelf, actually take it off the shelf and check it out. So it's a nice way to actually get into the holdings, what we have physically or electronically. But there are better ways, honestly, to search the catalog for ebooks or journal articles, and I'll show you that again as we move on. But that is just the overview sort of that BU catalog. So most of the time you do research, though, especially in public health, that ebooks are great or textbooks are great kind of for background information. So maybe you're writing a paper on malaria and you're not really sure how malaria works, like how long the virus incubation period is or what the most common drugs are to fight malaria or the symptoms, something like that. A textbook is great for giving you background information, explaining all those kinds of things. But usually treatment questions, so what's the most effective way to treat and what's the most cost-effective way, you're going to have to look at journal articles for those. So we have quite a few different journals. I think we have about 7,300 journals total. So there are a few different ways you can access those. I'm going to start with kind of the broadest way possible. If I go up here to e-resources, you can see that I have a list of different items I can look at. I'm going to start with e-journals here. So with, say, public health, say I want to look at the journal, the American Journal of Public Health. Say I know that that's the journal I'm interested in looking at. I have a few different ways I can get there. I can type in the title, or I could type in American Journal of Public Health here. You can also see I have an alphabetical range, so I can click on A through AM and just kind of scroll through here for that particular journal. And this is probably the most inefficient way to do it, honestly, but I'm here, I might as well just keep going, I guess. So I can see here American Journal of Public Health is just right up here. And we have a couple of different ways to access that. So sometimes it depends on the publisher, sometimes it's the date range, but usually if you go to the last one in that particular listing, I'm just going to go right here. If I want to use that journal, I'm just going to click on where it says Access eJournal. So it tells me these are all the different ways we get access to that particular journal. The best way to do it, if you can, right here where it says accessible via the publisher, but in some cases, other companies that BU deals with, they kind of give us package subscriptions. So EBSCO is a database provider, ABI Inform is a database provider, so it's included also in different databases. But in this case, I'm going to go straight out to the publisher itself. I've already logged in once, right, when I started opening the BU catalog, so I don't have to log in again, which is nice. You can just ignore this. I'll talk about that again. I'm using Zotero right now, so this is just proxy, not worth worrying about right now. So you can see that it brings me out to that journal, and it shows me the actual holdings we have. The most recent issue, I'm recording this in August of 2015. So they already have September and October there. It looks like October is a supplement, but September is already here too, which is nice. If I want to use any of these issues, I can just click here on August 2015. That's going to pull up that particular journal. I can plow in here. So say I was interested in this article here on medical marijuana laws and suicide. I can just click right here to get the PDF. So it's great in a case like this if you know the exact journal you want to use, or even like the exact author, the citation, you can go directly to the journal. We usually search journals through databases. Again, I'll show you that in a second, but this is certainly a way to get into a journal to see what we have available. But we have quite a few journals. Like I said, we have about, 7,300 journals total. So we don't really expect you to know all the journals just off the top of your head. We don't know them either, to be honest with you. As librarians, we have so many different resources. So what we tend to do as librarians to sort of make our lives easier, we've taken all the resources we own and we've broken them down into subjects. So you can see here where it says subjects A to Z. I'm just going to click here to get the subject guides. So we have 123 of these different subject guides here. What you're going to want to do if you want to study any particular topic, so say, again, with public health, and just by coincidence, it's actually featured here. This is just a randomized thing, which is kind of funny that it's here. So I'm just going to click on View All to show you all 123 of these. The single largest one is public health. We have the most resources for public health as opposed to any other topic. So if I scroll through here a bit, you can see here is public health, and I click on that. All of these pages look pretty much the same. They work pretty much the same regardless of the topic. So if I look at the very top here, print resources, if I clicked on that WA public health, that would show me all of the print books we have on the subject of public health. We have about 20,000 print books total. Books on reserve, so these are books that your professors have put on reserve for you. So these books cannot leave the library. You can use them for 2 hours at a time in the library. You do have to check them out, but they can't leave the library. You just check it out so you have access to it for that 2-hour period of time. Depending on the courses you take, you may or may not have reserved books, but that's, again, dependent on your particular schedule. Underneath that are ebooks. So, again, I showed you in the catalog, you could search for ebooks in the catalog, but you really have to know the title or sort of broadly of the subject. In this case, these are all picked out by our staff. Librarians put these here by topic. I think it only shows you 15 by default, but if I click here, usually bring back between 50 and 100, so there's 103 ebooks in this case. We always try to put the most recent ebooks for any topic in these lists, so we try to keep the older issues out because you probably just want the newest information anyway. So it's nice in this case, again, if I want to access any of these ebooks, I could just click here, say. It's going to take me directly into that ebook. Most ebooks, depending on the publisher, this is from Springer, they usually work pretty much the same way. So if I wanted to, say, read this chapter of that book, I can just click here and look at this in my browser in HTML. Or if I wanted to, you can see the actual whole text of that chapter is here. Or if it's easier for you, if you prefer, you can just click and get that same thing as the PDF. The PDF renders more nicely, the graphics look better, so it depends on your preference. You can certainly download this PDF and save it to your phone or tablet or computer, read it later, whatever you want to do. But it's nice that, again, almost every ebook we have offers you this option of reading it in your browser or saving that particular chapter as a PDF. Some books, like you can see up here, you can actually download the entire thing as a PDF or a format that like your Kindle could recognize. But again, most people just tend to read it chapter by chapter when they need it because you don't really need to download the entire thing unless you need that entire book. But whatever your preference is, perfectly fine. Our license allows you to do that. Okay, so again, going back to the subject guide page, so ebooks. Databases, these are databases we recommend for that particular topic. So we have about 350 databases. I'm going to show you a few different ones today. But so these are all in general, the public health databases that we recommend. You're always going to see PubMed on this list. We always recommend everyone uses PubMed for their first search, regardless of their topic, regardless of the school they're in. PubMed is the most important database on our campus. As I keep scrolling through again, so e-journals, so there's, quite a few e-journals on public health. 151, and I can access the same like I just did American Journal of Public Health. I just click here, it go right into the journal itself and start accessing the holdings. As I back out again, we also, though, after e-journals, we have recommended websites, government resources, consumer resources, professional organizations, BUBMC resources. So we try to put as many useful resources in one place as we can. So we always say to people that regardless of your research topic, always come and look at the library website to see if we have a subject guide page for your topic, and then see what resources we have right here. So it's going to make your search a little bit easier if you kind of start with a list of the most relevant, useful resources. You can also see that we usually have a See Also link. So with public health students sometimes also interested in African studies and health, international health and travel and preventive medicine. We also have, for subject guides, something else that public health students use all the time, depending on their specific questions. We do have one here, excuse me, on women's health, and you also see vital and health statistics. So that'd be things like Healthy People 2020, like the CDC's different statistical resources. So there are definitely going to be times you're going to need the numbers of things like prevalence, how many people, again, like malaria example, how many people a year die from malaria, how many people have malaria at any given time. So that these kind of databases here in vital and health statistics will give you the information you need for those questions. Also, like I said, there are different ways to access all of these resources. So you could certainly go up here, again, just to e-journals or e-books, whatever you're looking for. Now that you know these subject guide pages are here, you can also search, again, just by that subject guide. So instead of me going here to A through AM for American Journal of Public Health, I can actually hit this drop down here and go right down to Public Health as my subject. And because I'm only interested in this case in e-journals, right, I'm in the e-journals tab up here, I can just go to Public Health this way. And now I can see just a list of not only things in public health, but just the e-journals from public health. This is the same list from that A to Z subject page on public health, but now it's just e-journals and not all the other resources that are indexed there. Okay, so like I said, you're probably going to be using journals most often. We honestly have a pretty good collection of journals at BU, so there are about 5,500 journals indexed in PubMed. We probably have about 3,500 of those. So we don't have every journal in PubMed, but we have a pretty good representative sample, and certainly the most important journals like JAMA, Lancet, Nature, we have those journals. But there might be times that with the research that you're doing that you'll need a journal that BU doesn't own. So there are a couple of different ways you can actually find those journals. So I would say that if you go up here to Library Catalog and this option down here for other catalogs, you can click here on this link to the BLC. So the BLC is the Boston Library Consortium. It's a group of 17 area libraries. If you want to see who they are, you can click right here on members, and it'll show you the list. So as a BU student, you can use any of these libraries you want. So say you find out that there's a journal that BC has that we don't, or Tufts has that we don't. Tufts Medical School is only 2 miles down the road from us in Chinatown, so it's very easy to get to. Maybe you have a really material-specific question, or really biological question. Again, maybe you're thinking about malaria and you have a super specific question about how like the malaria genome is sequenced. You could use, you want to use MIT for a question like that. So you have access to any of these libraries here at all. If you want to use any of these libraries, what we recommend you do is you come to the library first. We can issue what's called a BLC card. With that card, you can go to any of these 17 libraries to let you in the door. You can use any of the resources they have, so any of their books, any of their ebooks, any of their journals. You can check books out. The only thing you can't do, which people tend to want to do, is that you're not allowed to use their journals electronically. So there's no way I can give you electronic access to MIT's journals. If you want to use an MIT journal, you physically have to go there yourself. And once you're inside the building, you can use any of the journals they own that you like. And of course, you could save the PDFs of the articles to a USB stick or Dropbox or email it to yourself, whatever you want to do. But you physically would have to go there to use those resources. Excuse me. There may be times, too, that, if I back up here, that there may be times that nobody in Boston has that particular resource that you want. So say it's a kind of an obscure journal, or maybe it's a dissertation or a private communication, and it's something that, it's usually journal articles, though, frankly, that most people don't have. You always have the option, too, to order things through interlibrary loan. That would be here from this link. Interlibrary loan, I will say that depending on where you went to school before, BU Medical Campus is a bit unusual that we actually charge for this service for ILL. So it's a charge of $6 per item. If you need the item in a hurry, so say you need it within like 1 business day, sorry, I told you I can't type or spell, they're going to charge you $16 per item. So we definitely recommend not using ILL if you can avoid it, because you're going to have to pay for this yourself. But if you do, there are times this is the only way you can get something. All you have to do is fill out this information here, so your name, email address, all those fields here. Put as much information about the resource that you have, so the journal title, so like JAMA in this case, where the journal came from, the actual article title, as much of the information as you can find, and our staff will go out and find that item for you. They'll send you an email when it comes in, and you just come to the library and pick it up. We only take... You can see here, check or print card. So you will get a print card twice a year, so between July 1st and December 31st. and then January 1st and June 30th we give out print cards. The value on the print card is $12, so that would get you 2 journal articles through interlibrary loan. But really what most people use those copy cards for is that we have printers and we have photocopiers in the library. So it's 12 cents per page. But if you print, everything is printed double-sided by default, so you get 2 sides for your money. So you can actually print 200 sides with that $12, or you can make 100 copies. We also have free scanners on both floors, 12 and 13. So that's what most people tend to do now. If you found an older article, a bound journal article, most people now just scan that to a PDF and email it to themselves rather than printing it out or photocopying, because you can do that for free as opposed to 12 cents a page. If you do want to pick up your print card, we recommend not picking it up until you actually need it, because people sometimes honestly lose them, and it's just, we can certainly track down the value, but it's just, it just takes time. So we recommend you don't actually pick up your card until you need it. If you want to pick up your card, just like you would to pick up your BLC card, just come to the reference desk or the circulation desk. It's the same desk that's integrated on the 12th floor. Just show the person on duty your ID, so you want to pick up your copy card, and they'll issue it to you. I would say, too, that make sure you pick it up every semester, because we don't carry the value over. So if you didn't pick up your copy card this semester and you come back in January, we wouldn't give you $24 so your unused fall and your unused spring together. No, we'd only give you that new $12 for the spring. So even if you don't think you're going to use it, I would definitely recommend coming during each semester to pick up the card or add value to the card, because that way you're not going to lose access to any of the value that is actually there put aside for you by the library. Okay, so I think that pretty much shows all of our sort of traditional resources, and that idea, the subject guides A to Z are pretty unique. That's something that only BU does. Along those lines, too, we also have school portals. So we try to take the resources that students use most often and just put them all in one place. So if I click here on portals, you can see that each of the schools has its own portal. And there's obviously BU SPH. So these portals are nice, too, that it's not quite like the subject guides. The subject guides show the specific, public health journals and things. But the portals use kind of a broader overview of the resources. So, for example, at the very end of this presentation, I'm going to talk about Zotero. This is our tutorial to Zotero, how to actually use Zotero. We also have other things that are useful, so say this gray literature report, which is a way, obviously, to get your hands on gray literature. So we try to put all the resources here for students in a particular school that they tend to use most often. And these are the most commonly used subject guides by people in public health. So bioethics, epi and biostats, vital and health statistics that I pointed out. So again, we try to put, one-stop shopping, all the things people use most often, all in one place. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to talk about, sort of the library broadly, where we're located, how to get to the website. Now I want to start doing some actual searches in databases.